not enough meat. Too skinny.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review of the 2025 horror thriller, The Hermit. The film is directed by Salvatore Sclafani and it stars Lou Ferrigno, Melina Paoli-Wiseman, Anthony Turpel and James Quattroche. Now, the film focuses on a character called Lisa. Now, she's going on a fishing trip with her father and her boyfriend out in kind of the middle of nowhere. It's a new location that the father's never been to before. She's not really that interested. She just wants to take a boyfriend. However, when they get there, what they don't realise is that they have wandered into the territory of a cannibalistic hermit, played by Lou Ferrigno, who proceeds to essentially hunt them down and torture them over a period of time. Now, we meet Lisa as she's being interviewed by a journalist, indicating that she gets away. So what we're seeing on screen essentially is her telling her story, so to speak. So she's telling us the events of what happened in and around the vicinity of this murderous hermit. Right, what are my thoughts on The Hermit? Well, immediately you're drawn to this one with the whole Lou Ferrigno thing. You know, Lou Ferrigno, means a lot of things to a lot of different people. To me, he's the Incredible Hulk. I grew up watching him as the Hulk. He has been prolific in like B movies for many, many years. But some of the promotional material that I saw for this was kind of like, for Lou Ferrigno on his first horror film, his first horror role. I don't know how true that is. I suspect he probably dabbled in horror in the past. But, it's still it's a fun selling point, isn't it? Lou Ferrigno playing this murderous, cannibalistic hermit. Now, when you take Lou Ferrigno out of that equation, what you actually getting here is a pretty bog standard slasher, the likes of which that we've seen many, many, many times before. However, I'm not saying that makes this a bad film. It just makes it, as original as the last one you saw, in regards to a slasher film. Where this kind of tries to stand out a little bit is the whole Lisa being interviewed by a journalist and kind of telling her story that ends up leading to a pretty significant twist stroke reveal near the end of the film that you'll either see coming or you won't. I'm probably about halfway there, kind of figuring it out by then. But it is still a clever piece of writing that, works quite well for the film. And it kind of makes you analyse everything that you've seen previously up to that reveal. So it's one of those things, if you like, that shows you one thing but gives you another later on, sort of thing. So you're racking your brains and thinking back, well, this happened and that happened earlier on, but actually that can't be right now. So it's quite good in that sense. It allows the film to kind of have its own space in regards to trying to be creative, sort of thing, and that it works okay for the film. Now, Lou Ferrigno, no one's ever going to turn around and say Lou Ferrigno is what you would describe as a great actor. Now, I think a lot of people get mixed up with Lou Ferrigno. It's not necessarily that he's a great actor. I don't know if you know this, but he's partially deaf, I think, or even fully deaf now. I'm not actually sure. So when he talks, if you like, he talks like it makes him sound slow, if you like, and he's not slow, obviously. So he's always kind of had that in his career. It works kind of to his advantage here because he doesn't say a great deal in this film. It's his presence that really is far more impactful here. Now, Lou Ferrigno's a big, big guy. He's still a big guy, even though I think he's in his 70s now. And you can tell that in this film. He's got a big frame to him and he's tall. So he does make a very imposing figure, quite an intimidating figure. And he doesn't play this character like a very standardized psychopath, if you like. There are levels to his character that are revealed in the film in regards to what's happened in his childhood that's kind of psychologically scarred him for the rest of his life and kind of molded him to this monster that he has become. You know, I mean, most killers have got backstories and stuff, and you know, the Hermit is no different. He's got, you know, a backstory that does lend itself well to this film. But like I say, there's characters here in this film that are just cannon fodder. You know, you're just like, well, you're going to get chopped up. You're going to get, you know, killed. You're not going to make it. So on and so forth. And it doesn't deviate really from. It reminded me a little bit of the, you know, the Hatchet films in the sense of, you know, the Victor Crowley never deviates from his, you know, those woods that he lives in. It's a bit similar here in regards to the Hermit. He doesn't really deviate from his woods, and the film doesn't deviate from that location apart from when the character Leisha is being interviewed in like what looks like a hospital. So I mean, it's in some ways it's trying very hard to kind of give us something a little bit different in regards to, you know, the character and his backstory and the reveal that takes place later in the film. And on the other, it's just a bog standard slasher film, really, with some fun kills, you know, some graphic kills, as you would expect with Lou Ferrigno playing the, you know, the intimidating large killer here. But it's. I applaud it, if you like, for trying to kind of give us a well-written film. I mean, I'm always complaining about these type of slasher films that they're just one tone, one note, bunch of faceless teenagers, all get slashed, murdered, you know, limbs lobbed off left, right and centre, and you're kind of left with this empty feeling, really, because there's no substance to it. You can't really say that for this. It does try to give some substance to the characters, to kind of keep you on your toes in regards to the narrative. It's just, if you like, it just doesn't manage to elevate itself to enough to find a space in this jam-packed, you know, slasher genre. But, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if we didn't get more of these. The ending certainly suggests it. But let's just see if this is like a hit on streaming. If it is, we may well get more of these. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on The Hermit, guys. Let me know your thoughts if you're planning on seeing it. And I will, of course, be back with plenty more content on the channel very, very soon.